Okay, so on SAT day, you're going to have to write an SAT rhetorical analysis about one of these essays, which are actually persuasive essays. So you have to take apart a persuasive essay and so that you can see how the reader built the argument. Okay, you're going to have evidence, which is ethos, reasoning, which is logical. Is this logical? Are there claims and evidence, facts, data? Is it logical? Okay, style and emotion over here is pathos. So ethos, evidence, facts, claims, pathos down here, which is emotion, and then logic, which is evidence, just your in reasoning. Okay. All right. So if I look at this first paragraph here, at my family's cabin on a Minnesota look, I can already identify that that's an anecdote. He's telling the story to connect you to his essay. So I'm going to look over here. I'm going to say that an anecdote would be under emotion. Remember the time years ago when we had that birthday party? That's emotion. Okay. So let me click off this. Let me just go to one over here that I found online. I kind of did some changes to it. So one more time, evidence, ethos, ethics, facts, ethics. Okay, reasoning, connecting claims, evidence, logic, style or persuasive elements, pathos or emotion. Okay, so I'm going to give you this online. So over here, the first paragraph, you can see that data is being used. That's going to be kind of ethos. In paragraph number 2, the Grunwald Associates, like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson once said, that's going to be logos. And I would say that's going to fall under, that's an allusion here, alluding to something else. And he goes on and talks and uses a little bit of fear, concern, and metaphors in here. So here's a metaphor, the digital detox, okay? So that metaphor will be under the category of, if I remember right, I'm going to probably choose pathos. Now your SAT reader is not going to be an English teacher. They're not going to be experts in this, so you have to explain it to them and make it clear. Go on, paragraph number 3. So who's right? That's a rhetorical question. Okay, it's a rhetorical question, and we have some pressure here. It's urgent. Okay, that's emotion. So this is going to be a little bit of logic. And also I'm going to say over here, it's going to be actually pathos. It's pressure. Okay, paragraph number 4, I can see I saw a little bit of pathos, emotion, fear, opinion, depression. Okay, depression, happy. The less time spent on screens, the better. That's an opinion. Okay, that's going to be definitely emotion. Maybe logic too, but for the most part, emotion. Okay, over here, paragraph 5, logic or pathos, emotion equals fear. There's also a fundamental aversion to setting kids in front of TV screens, thanks to decades of studies proving that watching too much TV can lead to obesity, violence, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, fear, emotion, pathos. Okay, is there any more fear? Well, here's an allusion to the Waldorf schools. Okay, in that vein, transition, by the way. Okay, in paragraph 6, I have a little bit of ethos and ethics, allusions to credible sources. Okay, the Waldorf schools, if I said something along the lines of country day students don't do this kind of thing, okay, or Cass Tech students don't do this, all right, Ann Arbor Pioneer students are some of the best of the best. Okay, them are allusions to credible sources. The Waldorf schools and so on and so forth, this extra information, they limit tech in the classroom and so on and so forth and bar the use of smartphones. So they're talking about all these other things, okay? Okay, over paragraph number 7, if you kind of read through it, and I'll load this up, it is a counter argument. It's the other side's point of view. That would be under logical, okay? And once again, you don't have to state if this is logical. You don't want to say this is ethos, this is pathos, this is logos. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking to see if you understand how the argument is built, okay? And if you know these rhetorical devices. If you don't know the name of the rhetorical devices, just tell us how they're using these devices. Here, he's using numbers and data to prove his point in the argument. And here are some samples. Okay, paragraph 9. They're not going to be this long, by the way. This is a longer one. Paragraph 9, logic in the form of data. Okay, as you can see all the data in here. So paragraph 9 is all data. That's going to be logical. It could also be considered ethical. But if I go back to my list and I need to decide, Okay, uh, facts or examples can be ethics, but it could also be logical. In this case, I'm going to say it's either one or two. It's however you want to categorize it. It's up to you. Your reader's not going to know. They just need to know that you know how this argument is being built. Okay, paragraph 10, it's easy. Researchers like Ito say the American, this is illusions, okay, ethics or logic. Common sense, logos over here. If we're not exposing our students to this stuff early, Jackson continues are going to be continue to be left behind. That's just logical. That's just same thing in DPSDD. If you don't expose kids to technology, they're going to be left behind, that sort of thing. Okay, in paragraph 12, the last paragraph is a restated thesis. All right, so over here, the thesis is restated. Okay, essay prompt. Write an essay in which you explain how Eliana Doctorman builds an argument to persuade her audience that there are benefits to early exposure to technology. So basically, she's trying to prove this argument. She could be wrong, but she's trying to prove her point. Your job in your essay, analyze how Doctorman uses one or more of the features listed in the preceding note section or of your own choices to strengthen the logic and persuasiveness of her argument. Be sure that the analysis focuses on the most relevant features of the passage. Okay, so if I talked about metaphors in this thing, that would work, but it would not be on target. So you're going to have 3 scores. You're going to have a reading score. Did you understand what you read? And that's going to go from 1 to 4. You're going to have a writing score. Is how well did you actually write the thing? And within 5 paragraphs, did you have an intro? Did you have a conclusion? Did you have topic sentences? Did you make any grammatical errors? That's 1 to 4. And then you have an analysis. Did you understand the analysis and how she was building her argument with devices? Okay, and that's a score from 1 to 4 for a total score of 4, 8, 12. I think a score of actually I think it's 1 to 24. Okay, so you're shooting for a score of about a 14. Okay, over here, here's one that's already done for you. I'll throw that online also. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so over here, this one passed about 2 years ago, so it was actually done pretty well. It's pretty simple, but this is what this person did. This is not the real person, by the way. Okay, building arguments is a skill that requires knowledge of persuasive devices. I would always paraphrase that first line or use it exactly. Okay, then Dockerman writes a persuasive essay in which she brings about attention to technology in schools and tries to persuade her audience that technology is useful. Okay, you're going to fill in this information. Then your thesis statement. In her essay, Dockerman uses several persuasive devices to prove her point and influence her readers that schools need technology. This is the central idea of the paper. Okay, then she talks about her first persuasive device with a transition. The first persuasive device she talks about to build her argument is point of view. I wouldn't have chosen that one, but it's in the third person. Okay, she wrote this in the third person, so on and so forth. Then she cited an example from the paper. For instance, in paragraph 6, she talks about she uses a third person to make herself sound neutral. I like this one, okay? All right, then she to conclude, she uses point of view in the third person to influence her audience, and I would have said and to build her argument. Okay, I think that was repeated. Okay, a third persuasive device Dockerman uses to build her essay is data. So data, then you're going to explain what data is. So data is important. It uses points and numbers and so on and so forth. Then you're going to use a citation. In paragraph number 1, it talks about how she used data to convince her argument in her audience and data one more time would probably be along the lines of logic or ethics. Okay, I would have mentioned something about logic and ethics in here. And then she had a concluding sentence, and I'll let you read that as an attachment. Okay, here's another transition. I didn't like this transition moving forward, but it works. Okay, in moving forward, Dockerman builds her argument further with her choice of words. Okay, I'm assuming she's talking about word choice. So word choice is a specific selection of vocabulary, and you're going to explain what word choice is. Then you're going to cite where it was used. Here she didn't really cite where it was used, but she did say throughout the essay. The words one uses when writing can affect an argument simply due to the complexity of language. This paragraph, I would give this paragraph about, on a scale from 1 through 8, I'd give it about 4. She didn't really detail anything. This is kind of like, but it works though. Okay. Then here's another point of view, the last one she chose. Again, Dr. Min builds her argument via the use of illusions. I like that one. Okay, then she's going to explain what illusions are. They're references to credible sources. And then she gives a citation somewhere in the paper, which is in paragraph 2. All right, and then she concludes. And then she's going to write her conclusion paragraph, doesn't have to be long. In conclusion, Dr. Min builds an argument using several persuasive devices to influence her readers that technology is vital for school. So she has a total of 1, 2. This one's repeated, so I'm not going to use that one. 3, 4. Don't forget your transitions. 5, 6. This is too much. I would have just done 5 paragraphs. You can even do 4 paragraphs at this point because of the pressure we're under. Okay, the deadlines we're under. So you really only need a total of 4 paragraphs. 5 is ideal. 1 introduction, 1 conclusion, which does not have to be long, and then 3 body paragraphs. So choose 3 devices that you can identify. Some things will be like data, illusions, under the category of ethos, pathos, logos. Do not say she uses ethos by doing this note. Okay. Do not say she uses pathos, logos. So if you say ethos, pathos, logos, she uses pathos. They don't care about pathos. They want to hear what kind of pathos. They don't care about logos. They want to hear how she used logos. They don't care about or logic. They don't care about ethics. They want to know how she used ethics. What did she use illusions as ethics? Did she use data as ethics? Did she use credible statements as ethics? They don't care about logic. They want to know how she used the logic and give me an example of that. So 5 paragraphs. And here are a list of some persuasive devices that you probably already know. So here are some persuasive devices. Okay, allusions, anecdotes, which are short stories, rhetorical questions like, what is wrong with you? What is your problem? What is going to become of our nation if we continue to struggle? Okay, vocabulary, colloquialism versus formal language. Okay, figurative language, which are things like hyperboles, like, oh man, I know the best restaurant in the world. Okay, overstatements, understatements, metaphors, similes, irony. Okay, juxtaposition, which is really just compare and contrast. Point of view, is it in the first person, which is I, second person you, third person he, she, they, official. Is there data there? Is there parallelism? Is there repetition? Is there pathos like sympathy, anger, empathy, incitement, fear, cause and effect, imagery, alliteration, analogies, inclusive language, first person, humor? Was the tone humorous? Was the tone biased? Was the tone intellectual? Was the tone caring? Was the tone angry? Was it mad? Was it analytical? Was there satire in this essay? And many other devices that you can identify. So that's your task, is to read one of these essays and then write an essay of 5 paragraphs, 1 intro, 1 conclusion, and 3 body paragraphs detailing what you found. Okay, so just kind of like circle it. I see data here. I see allusions here. I can see that the thing was written with a tone of seriousness, or there was a tone of humor in there, or comedy. All right, then let me show you this one last time. This is a little too much. I would have done 7 paragraphs. You only need 5. She did too much on this one. So we have another persuasive device is point of view. A third persuasive device is data. I like that one. I like word choice, colloquialism, and maybe high-end vocabulary. That would fall underneath the category of pathos or emotion. Okay. I will have an assignment for this online today.